So, hello everyone. I am Indrayani. Welcome to all of you for second week's problem solving session. Let's wait for a minute since it's 6:59. We'll wait for 1 minute for everyone to join and then begin. Yeah, so it's 7 p.m. Shall we start? If you are ready, you can raise your hand so that I know we no problem for starting. Yeah, okay, great. So uh, I have some raised hands, so we can start the session. So, before we begin, as I had promised everyone in last week's session, that I'll be sharing the YouTube link for the recording of previous session. Here is the link. I have shared it in the chat box. Uh, this is brief introduction about me. I'm currently pursuing PhD from IIT Bombay and working as a NPTEL TA for the course of The Joy of The Joy of Computing using Python. So we will be meeting every Tuesday, and I will be uploading the recording of the meeting every Wednesday, a day after our live session. Yeah. So in that sheet only on the Swayam platform, I will be updating the link to the folder where I will be sharing the PDF to this particular file where you can have access to the YouTube channel also. I will be uploading the recording on the same channel through the same channel. Okay, so let's follow some guidelines to maintain the decorum of the meeting. Those who have attended my last session already know that you can type in chat box. I monitor the chat actively and I try to answer the doubts in while solving the previous runs assignments. So every week we will be solving the previous runs, that is last semester's assignments. In this live session, I along with you together we will be solving, so it's more like a tutorial session rather than a problem solving session. So if you have doubts, you can type in the chat box, and please avoid unmuting unless there is some miscommunication through the chat box. You can always unmute. The settings of this particular meeting is such that anyone can unmute and speak. So we will try to maintain the decorum of the session, and if the things are not getting conveyed properly through the chat box, you can of course unmute and talk. Right, so let us begin with the week 2's problem solving session. So
I have one doubt.
yes, Shreyashi ji.
Indrani, whenever I am going to run the program in Spider, in that time there was showing no error. But whenever in submission portion,
Okay.
in NPTEL, whenever I am going to run that one, it will show error.
Okay. So
So what to do in that?
yeah, right. So Shreyashi ji, we will go to that part at the end of. First we'll try to solve the assignment quiz. I understand you, because even I get the same problem when I'm doing the programming assignments. So we will discuss that at the end when we will look at the programming assignments, because what happens is the programming assignment portal, it accepts certain code as an input and certain test cases as a set of predefined output. So if we try to make our program more intelligent and have some additional lines of code, then it might not accept our code as it is. Okay, so we'll go to that part at the end, that how we are supposed to begin at the beginning, since the course is targeted for at the beginner level, right from the 10th standard anyone can take up this course and join this course. So that's the problem currently with this Swayam, the programming assignment portal, where you can submit the code and try to run it in the real time. So that's the problem. That's not big of an issue, because you can write little lower level program and then pass the compiler test, right? We can always do that. Okay, so we'll go to that point when we'll take up the programming assignment. So right now we are taking up the assignment quiz. because once we do the assignment quizzes, it will be easier for us to understand how to write the simpler programs in the programming assignment. And especially I'll advise not to worry about the week 2's programming assignments, because week 2 is more of a trial assignment that you should get used to the compiler and submission, the online the entire setup of the online assignment submissions, right? So let's solve the MCQs, that is the assignment quizzes, right? So the question 1 from the previous run was the last semester of since it's a very popular course, it is run in every semester. So previous run for this particular course was last semester. So this is the question from the last semester. So question 1 says, which of the following statements will print the joy of computing? So this particular question is completely focusing on the syntax of the Python. So syntax is just like our usual languages. We have grammar, we have punctuation marks while writing. So similarly, Python will have something called as syntax. So as usual, you can type in A, B, C, D, whichever you feel could be the answer. So let's check out every option one by one. Right? So option 1 says print, and in the bracket just the joy of computing. So there is something missing here, that's the quotes, right? So there should have been quotes. So this particular option cannot be executed. Okay, it will give some error because there are no quotes in the text, So what happens when we don't give the quotes in the, like, say for example, if I'm typing print and I'm saying the, so what happens is when this particular line of code is executed, is it will treat this particular word the as a variable and not as the string to be printed. But when we want to print some customized text or some customized sentence in print, we have to give the single quote or the double quote, right? If we execute this will give output as the. So in this particular thing, only two options have the single quotes, that is option C and option D. So many of you are guessing it correctly, it is option D. But why it is not C? Because there is F, it is printf. Printf is not the Python syntax. Python syntax is just the print statement. So it will not even be the option C, but the correct answer will be option D, right? So this is, so that the difference between C and D is, so one of you, Vidyashriji, so you please try to understand, the option C has print F and not just print. Whereas in Python, the accepted command to print any output on the screen is just print, plain print word, right? So that takes us to the correct answer of the question 1, which is option D. Okay. So now moving to question 2, what is the output of the following code? So we did the same thing in the Scratch, we went line by line. So here also we'll try to go line by line. Okay, so line 1 is blank, line 2 here is, I will change the color of the, wait, I'm not able to change the ink color somehow, wait, yeah, so it is now, is it visible on the black? Yeah, it's visible on the black. Okay, so line 1 is, we are declaring a string as a word round. In line 3 we are declaring another string by using the words lot of, and in line C there is C we are equating as dust, right? So now what is happening now, this is a little bit tricky, since we are new to Python, we need to understand few things about Python. What happens is, when you print any statement, the cursor will go to the new line, right? So there are 3 print statements. That means this output will be displayed, or output will come in 3 different lines. There will be 3 lines of output text for this particular code. So in first line, it will print earth is, And then in the second line there is another print statement which says print a. So what is the value of a? A is round, so round will come, sorry, so round will come here, round full stop. And in the third line, or the third print statement is moon has comma b comma c. So what it will do is, it will go to the cursor, will go to the third line, it will start typing moon has, and now what happens is we are appending the strings, the comma, we are appending the strings here. B and C, this B and C are the strings. B is lot of and C is dust. So in the same line it will print moon has lot of dust, right? And that is option C, this. So the correct answer will be C. So just to verify, since we have theoretically seen that every print statement goes into new this thing, and so let us, what I have done is I have typed in this code here, and let us try to execute this. Okay, so this particular, so that I should be able to share this Python code with you all. So I'm using Google Colab here. So Google Colab is online service by Google, where you can practice the Python code, right? So this is the, yeah, so that is what we had expected, right? In one line earth is, in second line round, and in third line this thing. Yeah, so that would be, so Nidhi, that would be some typo while submitting the question. So that would be my mistake probably. There's no missing full stop. So let's assume there is a full stop given. Okay. You're right to point out there is a full stop missing, so I'll just add here. That was my fault. I missed the full stop. Might have been. So thanks for pointing out. Yeah, but this will be the correct output. In 3 lines, earth is in 1 line, round is in 2nd line, and moon has lot of dust in the 3rd line. Okay? So the correct answer would be C. So moving on to question 3. Question 3 says, what should be the syntax of getting age as an input from a user in Python? Okay, so we want to ask user to enter something. So for that we have, just like for print, for output there is a print statement. For accepting the input there is input statement. Fairly easy to remember. In the similar way, like in print statement you're supposed to include the text in the quotes, single quote or double quote. Similarly here also we will try to include the text in double quotes, right? So that makes if you want to take input of getting age, okay, so what we will ask user is, please enter your age, or simply enter age. God, I'm making spelling mistakes, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this will be the correct answer, which is everyone is typing in as option B, and that's correct. That's the correct answer, option B. So we have to consider the double quotes and the statement. Statement is the input, right? Input here, and the double quotes. So even option 4 has input, but the quotes are missing, so we will not consider this. But this has input and the quotes also, so that's why the option B is the correct answer. Do ask your doubts in the chat box if you have any. Okay, that's the whole point of having the live session, so that if there are any doubts, or you did not understand anything, you let me know so that I can repeat. Okay, so let's move on to question 4. Question 4 says, what should be the value of this underscore to print all the numbers from 0 to 10, right? So we have to print all the numbers from 0 to 10 using the for loop, right? So as you must have gone through the week 2 lectures, and it's been explained very nicely that how for loop uses in range, and how it starts from 0, and 0 to, if it is I, then the value goes to I minus 1. It doesn't reach till I, right? So if we want to print all the numbers from 0 to 10, like from 0 to 10, that means the I value should be, we have to add 1 to this, right? So that it will stop at 10, because it stops at, the execution stops at I minus 1. You know what happens? Okay, let me put it in the different words. It might be little bit confusing. What happens in this particular, if I in the range till, let's consider 5. Okay, so what is happening here is, it is starting from 0. No? The for loop always starts from 0. It doesn't start from 1, it starts from 0. So it will execute 5 times, no doubt. It will have 5 execution. But since 0 will be first execution, right? First execution will be 0, second execution will be 1, third will be 2, fourth will be 3, and similarly fifth will be 4. And it will stop because it will have total 5 execution, right? So that means if we want to print till 5, the value of I in this particular statement should be plus 1. So if we want to print numbers from 0 to 10, here it should be 11, right? Okay, so Hardik will, I am reading your doubt in loop, how to frame the condition, right? So this is what I explained, how to frame condition. So if you want the loop to execute n number of times, so say for example, here we want to loop the print statement from 0 to 10. So how many numbers are getting printed from 0 to 10? 1 to 10, 10 numbers, and additionally we are adding 0. So that means 11 numbers, right? So, and for loop will always print from the I value it will take is from 0. The starting value is always 0. So if we so it will go for 11 iterations. It will go from 0 to 10. So here the catch was, you should consider 0 also and the last number also. So when the 0 is included, what you can do is add 1 to the last number. Yeah. So, and if 0 is not the like say for example the question would have been print 1 to 10, then we should have changed this I to plus 1, so that the first iteration, instead of 0, here is the first iteration value is 0, right? Instead of 0, if we are adding it, it would have given us 1. This iteration would have given us 2, and similarly the fourth, the last iteration would have given us 5, right? For range value is equal to 5. So these starting and the ending value is what you have to be careful while using the for loop. Yeah, so Dr. Venkatraman Murthy, there is no difference between single quotes and double quotes in print statements. You can use single quotes, you can use double quotes. That's the way we declare the string. So we are handling the strings in the print statement. So the single quotes and double quotes shouldn't do the problem unless your IDE is specifying. So mostly the Python compilers treat string in double quotes and single quotes as string only. So it doesn't usually create a problem. They are interchangeable, right? So I hope this for loop is clear now, Hardik. If your doubt is clear, you can type in OK in the chat box. Yeah. So the things to remember, I will just write here in the box for loop. It starts with 0 and executed I times or in range variable times. So whatever we are declaring in this particular thing, in range times, right? And I starts with 0. So these are the things to remember while using the for loop. Okay. If fairly easy, you will get used to it by end of this course. Right now you might be finding it a bit difficult or bit confusing, but don't worry, you will get used to it. And okay, so let's move on to question 5. We are asked what will be the output of this particular set of code. Okay, so b is equal to 0, setting the b's value to 0. So we are declaring a variable and setting its value to 0. So now what is happening is, in for loop, I in the range till 10, so that means it will be executed 10 times. Okay, so let's quickly 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 times. Okay, so what they are doing is they are adding b is equal to b plus I. So b's previous value, so right now b's value is 0. So in first this thing is what is the new value of variable b? So new value of variable b would be 0 plus I starts from 0. So so it will be 0, right? For second iteration it will be 0 plus 2, plus 1. Like, let me write the I value here also, like 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. Okay, so I'll be writing the new b value here, right? So here it is 0, here it is 1 plus 2 3 plus 3 6 10 15. So likewise we are adding the number till 9, no? From 1 to 9 we are adding, because the first iteration was 0, so we are adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 and so on, na? So it should be 45, right? The answer should be 45, right? So let us check rather than doing it. So Hardik, again, it's the for loop. In any of the programming language you take up, C++, Java, the for loop, it starts with a 0 unless you specify its value. Since now here in this particular statement, for I is in range of, so we are not specifying the starting value of I. So the compiler assumes that the I value is 0 and it will stop after 10 iterations. Okay? Yes, exactly, Shashankji. The range starts the iteration with 0. So we have to specify. If we want to start it with some other number, we have to specify that. We have to initiate another variable and use it within the loop to increment, right? So let us cross check. What it was, this code, right? B is equal to 0 for I in the range. What happens to the b? So does it give us the output as 45? Let us check, because here it is starting from 0 and going on till 10. That means 10th iteration the value will be 9, so it should give us the sum of the numbers from 0 to 9, that is 1 to 9, which is 45. And yes, we have got the output as the 45 here, right? So our this thing was correct. Yeah, so for 45. So shall we move on to next? Yeah. So next is question 6. What will be the output for input is equal to 20? Yeah. So this is the code. Like we are. So what this statement is doing, we are asking users input. We are asking user to enter some number, right? And we are storing that number in this variable called number. So now what happening is, we are declaring another new variable, new number, which is number multiplied by 2, and we are printing new number. Okay, so looks fairly simple. Looks like a number is asked by user to enter. It will enter some number, it will do some multiplication. This statement is what? Simple multiplication. So they are multiplying and then they're printing the new number. Okay, so I see there's a lot of confusion, which is good, so we'll get to clear the doubts. Okay, so what happens in Python is, when you input something, it takes it takes the input in the form of a string. String is a it's a normal no it, okay, so string is a set of characters, simple set of characters, right? So when a particular character, when we are dealing with a set of character or a string data type, what happens when we multiply string by any number, that means the numbers will get replicated or multiplied. So right now the input is 20, so the compiler window, so output window will look something like this. Okay, it will ask enter the number, there will be a window to enter the number. So if we are using 20, then it will print the statement in the next line, new number. Okay, so number multiplied by 2, so 20 will be repeated twice, the characters will be repeated twice, so it will be 2020. Yeah, so let us cross check this with the code. Okay, so to save the time, I have written all the snippets of the codes, because we might get some doubts, so it's better to check the code, but we'll try to solve without compiling first. Okay, so the answer which I think should be 2020 for the input 20. So let's wait for it to, it is asking us to enter, so let us enter. Yeah, so output is 2020. So what is happening here, we are not converting this string type. It will give 40, it will not, currently it will not give 40. We are using this data type called string to store the number. Okay, because whenever in Python, so Shreya, please try to listen. So new number is not defined, doesn't matter. Python does not require you to declare any variable, right? Python will not ask you to declare any variable. You can just use any variable in any new line. So that's the good thing about Python. You don't have to worry about declaring a variable or initializing that particular variable. Okay, so don't worry about it. That's the beauty of Python. It minimizes the number of lines in your code. So what is happening here, so Shreya, I think you are confused, so listen carefully. Okay, so what is happening here, whenever we are asking user to input, whatever input we are putting in, that is taken in the form of string. So string is not just words, string is a set of characters. It could be numbers, it could be special symbols, it could be alphabets, it could be anything, right? So it is just a set of characters. So when we are entering this 20 here in this input 20, this 20 is not considered as a number, but it is considered as 2 and 0 set of characters, right? So now when we are multiplying this number into 2, that means we are repeating the characters, we are multiplying it. So whenever a string you are multiplying it by 2 or 3 by any number, so what happens is the number of characters, they are repeated that many times, they'll be repeating. So now our string is 20 and our number is 2. Yeah, so we will be repeating 2020 twice. This is 1 and this is 2, 1 and 2. So that is how a string will give the, yes, if we declare 20 as int, then we will get 40, and we will see how to do that. Okay, so there is a way to do that. So what we can do is, we can declare int, say for example,
Tell me, ma'am.
yeah, yes,
Without declaring number, we can how we can multiply a number, ma'am? Without declaring.
no, we have to explicitly tell compiler that we are considering this as a number and not as a string. So we have to tell compiler, otherwise it will consider it as a string, as a set of characters.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so we have to explicitly tell compiler. Okay, so let us,
a number is not a string, no, ma'am.
No. Yeah, so let us check here. So here is the code. I hope code is visible. Yeah, input enter number, new number is number by 2. Okay, so now we are telling, in this line we are telling compiler that please consider this as a input, as a integer. So what will happen is, we are considering this particular thing as a integer. So we will use the keywords int to declare integer type. So that means the input which we are getting from the user, we have to consider it as an integer. So now let us see what is the output given. Yeah. So now if we give them 20, it will give us 40, because we made it integer type, we made it number type. Earlier it was string type. So Shreya, now your doubt is clear. We declared this particular input as integer type, and then we multiplied it by 2, so it becomes 40. And when we print that new number, the output is 40, right?
Ma'am, I have another doubt, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Go on. Yeah, please move on. Tell me.
Two strings, ma'am.
Where
We can add two strings.
Yes, this way we can add two strings, the same string. Since it is a multiply here, number multiply by 2. So that means we are repeating the string twice, 2 times. But if you want to keep on repeating the string, or if you want to add a string, you can simply, use the sign plus or separate it by comma. So these are the different types of separators, which I think you will, in due course of Python, you will understand what are the special characters which we can use in the output line. Like, \n is used to push the cursor in the next line. So similarly, we can use the plus sign to append 2 strings together, right? So don't get confused right now about that, because those are the special characters which have special functions in Python. So as I said, just like our language, we have grammar, way of speaking, punctuation marks when we write. So similarly here, the grammar, the way of typing, and the punctuation marks, they have special meaning. So when we are speaking, right, we have to give respect to elders, by changing our verb, while speaking any Indian language or non-English language. So similarly here, for the compiler, we have to declare the variable as an int, so that the compiler doesn't consider it as a string or a simple set of characters. It will consider it as a number, as an integer. Okay, so shall we move on to next question? So this feature, when the Python considers by default as a set of string or set of characters, this is many of the times will be used as to create confusing questions in your exam and in your assignments. Yes, Hardik, please ask your doubt.
Without declaring it the Python, so default will be always string, ma'am.
I'm sorry, your voice was breaking. I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat?
Okay. Ma'am, actually without declaring the data type, the default in Python is always string, ma'am.
String, yes. String. So it will consider your input as a simple set of characters. It will not assign any data type to it, not double, not string, not float. So by default, it will consider your input as a simple set of characters. That is string. Yeah. Okay, so shall we start with this question? Yeah, Hardik, actually you're not audible, so can you type in the chat box, because your voice is cutting between so much. I'm not able to make out what you're asking. So can you please type in the chat box? I will try to answer that there. Yeah. So okay, let us start with the execution of this set of code. So we are asked what will be the output, right?
Error.
Okay, so this is the trick question. So we'll closely look for the syntax of every statement. Yeah, syntax of every line. So okay, so what is happening here is we are declaring a variable called number, which is 20 divided by 10 multiplied by 0. So what is 20 divided by 10? This answer is 2. 2 multiplied by 0 will be 0. Yeah. So number value is 0. This variable has the value 0. So now what is happening, if condition are getting checked, so if gives us the boolean output. So boolean variables they just have 2 values, either true or false. Okay, so when we are every time when we are using the if statement, we have to put a condition which will either be true or be false. So what here is, we are checking a condition. In this particular line, we are checking if number is less than 0. Number is 0 is less than 0? No. So the boolean value will be false. So hence it will not go to this statement. This statement will not be executed. Yeah. So let us move on to this particular line. So if number is greater than 0, so if number value is 0, 0 greater than 0, no. So this particular condition is false. So this print statement will also not be executed. So now what happens in this third if condition? We are checking if number is equal to 0. But we can check less than. Yeah, I will request you to please wait for me to stop talking. Otherwise, the questions will remain midway and we will, end up discussing the doubts only. And last time the session was supposed to get done by 8 o'clock and we had to go till 8:30. And still all of you were asking doubts very nicely. So instead of unmuting, what I will suggest is please type in the chat box, because once I'm done talking or explaining, I actually keep an eye on the chat box. So don't worry, I will get to you. If I miss your doubt, then please unmute and ask. Okay, it's a request. Yeah. So what happens here, in third statement, so whenever we are doing the boolean check for greater than, for less than statements, we can have the simple this thing, m less than n or m greater than n. This returns a boolean value. But what happens with m equal to n? If we are using simple m equal to n, the value of n will get assigned to m, no? See, simple equal to will equate the values, the value of. So what happens here, if number is equal to 0, this 0 is getting assigned to number. So it is not checking the condition which we wanted to do. So for equal to condition, so this is not the condition checking. This is not the condition checking. For condition checking, what we have to do, equal to, we have to put the double equal to sign. So yes, now Vanilla, you are right. You are saying number double equal to 0. So that will check the condition. If number is equal to 0, would have checked the condition and printed number is 0. But what will happen when we will execute this particular set of code? It will give error. Because you can't assign the variable value inside the if condition. So let us check in the Google Colab code that if it is really giving an error. So yeah, I have already typed in the this thing and I have missed the equal to sign. Yeah, so it is okay, it is not considering. Okay, so now let us see. Yes, invalid syntax, precisely there where we were expecting. We were expecting for a compiler to give error here at this particular point, na? Because we cannot assign any value to any variable inside the if condition. So that's the error, that's the invalid syntax. So this takes us to the correct answer, which is option D, error. Yeah, so any doubts now you can ask regarding this particular question. You can ask if there are any doubts, you can ask it now. I'll wait for a few seconds for if there are any doubts to come up. Yeah, so Vidyashri, your question is shouldn't be int number. So no. So Python, as I was telling in previous question, so this is the advantage of using Python, where you don't have to worry about the data type of a variable or declaring a variable or initializing a variable. So here what will happen is when you're assigning number some numerical value and you're doing some numerical operations, so by default it will get assigned some integer or a float value. Float is the where you can also store the decimal value. So integer or float value will automatically get assigned. So we don't have to worry about declaring it as a particular variable, as a particular data type, not variable, as a data type. Okay. Yeah, so Shashank pointed out that there is a single equal to. So you pointed out before, we got confused. Yeah? So now, okay, so Ayan has one doubt. He's saying if condition check, condition check's value can be true or false. It's is it like false is equal to true, true is equal to any other value? Yes, so generally what happens is false is equal to 0. In Boolean, values are generally binary. False is 0 and true is 1. So that way it could be any non-zero value also, but generally it gets assigned as 1. Yeah. So normally if you try to print this Boolean value, you will get output as 1 if the condition is true, if the Boolean value is true. Yeah, so going to next question, what will be the output of this particular code? So this gives us this takes us to the confusion which we had for the range concept in the for loop. Okay, so we'll get to again address that confusion here again. So what we are doing is we are declaring a's value to 10, and in for loop we are going till 10. So that means there will be 10 iterations. And in the for loop, what we are doing is we are assigning the value of I to A. And this is outside, print statement is outside for loop, okay? This is outside for loop. This is not the part of for loop. So it will have only one output line of the code, okay? So now I see variable answers in the chat box. Some of you are saying A, which is 9. Some of you are saying none of the above. Okay, so it's a tie between 9 and none of the above. So Shreyashi is asking for all learners WhatsApp group. Okay, so this you can answer, this others can answer. Okay, that particular question was not for me. So Shreyashi is asking if there is any WhatsApp group for this subject. She would like to know. Okay. Okay, so the confusion is between none of the above and 9. So now let us check for the syntax errors. Like, so for the people who think it's the D, what none of the above, what can be the output? Say there are a few like Satyam Kumar, Ritika, and who was there? Satyam and Ritika. So two of you think that it's okay, so Satyam, you think 1 to 9, so all the numbers should get printed. So no, all the numbers will not get printed. Or we are not adding, Ritika, we are not adding the numbers in the for loop. What is happening here? We are just assigning the value of I to this variable A. So again, I will make a table. So it starts, there'll be 10 iterations from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. 10 iterations. So what will be the I value? I value will start from 0. Everyone agrees with me? Generally, I value will start from 0. Generally, no, not generally. Always the I value will start from 0. Okay, so 0, and after every iteration it gets incremented, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so it will stop at 9. Now what is happening in the loop? We are assigning I's value to this variable A. It doesn't matter if A's value is 10, because in the for loop first iteration only, we are changing that value to 0. Yeah, so 0. Again, in the second iteration, we are changing that value to 1. In third iteration, 2. And so on. Yeah. So A ka final value which we are assigning to A is this 9. And in Python, you have to mind the indentation, right? Indentation is nothing but the tab or the spaces which you are leaving. So when we are typing this for, this statement, you will notice it is little inside, not along the line. No, it is little inside. That means whatever we write here after leaving this space, that will be part of the for loop actions. And you will notice this print is again just like for, and this second line statement, this 4-line statement, this 7-line statement is also just along the margin, you know. There are no spaces left between the margin and the print statement. So that means this print statement is outside the for loop. It will be executed only once. So the output will be printing this final value of variable a, which is 9, option A. So if there could be doubts, so let us check this set of code in the collab. Yeah. So I have already written this set of code. Let us execute it. Yeah. So we say the output should be 9. So let us see what is the output. Oh, some error. Okay, sorry. There was a 0. There was a 0 typed after I by mistake. Yeah, so no error now. Okay. So the output is A. So here you will clearly notice that this statement, it is little inside. No? It was... Okay, so it went... Okay, so I'm not going to waste time in rectifying that. I'll rectify that after session. So while I was selecting that text, it got selected and got cut. Okay, so there it was written A is equal to I. So in that, you will notice the cursor is blinking after some spaces. So whatever I will write here, that will be executed in the for loop. But this particular print statement, here this particular print statement, it is not indented. That means it is outside the for loop. That's why it executed only once. Yeah. So for those who thought that there will be addition or there will be other things like Ritika and Satyam, is your doubt cleared now? Do you also agree with most of us that the answer would be 9? Yeah, so Satyam is saying okay. So yeah, Ritika is also saying okay. So we'll move on to the 9th question. Yeah. So what will be the output of this particular set of code? So again, this is for loop. So now you can, okay, I can already see the answers coming in. So okay, there are two students who think it's 56 and one who thinks there is error. Again, one more count added to 56. So now let's check what is happening here inside. Okay, so we are declaring A and assigning it value of 1. Now for I in the range of 10, that means there will be 10 iterations. What is happening in the for loop? There is only one statement in the for loop, which is A is equal to A plus I plus 1. That means the new value of A is old value of A plus I plus 1. Yeah. So let us make a column where there will be I value, there will be A value, and there will be new A value, old A value and the new A value. Okay. So I value will start from 0 and will go on till 9. You agree? Swati, you're unmuted somehow, and I think it's a mistake because you're not asking questions, but there's background noise, so please mute. Yeah. So I starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we will stop at 9. Yeah, we'll stop at 9. There will not be, I will not take up the value of 10. It will stop at 9. So initially A's value is 1. So now new A value will be this 1 plus 0 plus 1. So 2. Yeah, 1 plus 1, 2. So again here it will be 4. Right, and 4 will come here, it will be 7. So 7 will come here, it will be 11. Right. So what what is happening here is, here it will be 11 and 5, 16. So 16 plus 6, because 5 plus 1, no? So 16 plus 6, what will be the value? 22, right? So 22 plus 6, 28, right? And 29. If you notice, because when I'm doing this additions, I generally make mistakes of ones, so just kindly point it out if there are any mistakes like that, So plus 8, there'll be 37, 37, 37, right? 8, yeah, 37. 37 plus there'll be 9, which will be 46. 46 plus 10, it will be 56. Yeah, so answer will be 56, right? So let us try to execute this code also. Okay, I have already written it. Yeah, here for I in range from 0 to 10, what happens when you add that number with the I plus 1, that means that iteration, so it becomes that number plus 1, the next number. So 56 is the correct answer. So we were right with the logic of implementation. So is there any confusion about the value of I, or how A value is getting changed? Okay, so there shouldn't be any empty lines after the colon in Python. Okay, so there is no empty line because we have left the one line, and after that we are adding some actions for Python to do. That action here is this: A is equal to A plus I plus 1. Okay, so it doesn't give error. Don't worry. So if you want to cross check that with the compiler, we can do that. I just added one empty line and it is still running without error. Yeah, so number of empty lines doesn't bother Python compiler. So this is the last question of this assignment. What will be the output of this particular code? So this is the while loop. So we have to, so if you remember last week's assignment in the Scratch, there was a while loop. So we had to keep on executing the while loop until this condition becomes false. Yeah. So when you have some condition based looping, so for is generally used when you have certain number of iterations, fixed number of iterations in mind. But when it is condition based, then we used some other looping functions like while, so while is condition based. So we will keep on executing this loop while this condition is true. When this condition becomes false, we will stop the execution. So as you note the indentation, there is a space for these both statements. So that means these both are part of the loop and both will be executed. So while A is equal to 0, so here again I and A, so it is 0 and we are incrementing it by 2. So for first iteration, at the beginning of the first iteration, both the values are 0. Okay, so what happens after the statements are executed? So A is also 0, so A old and A new. So A old is 0, so 0 plus 2, 2, so new becomes 2. So the condition is true, right? Condition is still true. So we are printing this value. So 2 is getting printed. So we will move on to next iteration, next loop. So next loop, now new A's value is 2. 2 is less than 10, that is true. So we will execute this. A is equal to A plus 2. So old is 2 and the new value becomes 2. So now this is printed. So there will be 4 will also be printed. So similarly the 4 now become added 2. So 4 is less than 10. So that means we will execute it. So it will become now 6, and the 6 will be printed. So 6 is less than 10, so it moves on to next iteration. It will be, the 2 will be added, it will become 8. 8 will be printed. So now 8 is less than 10, true. So 2 will be added to this, becomes 10. 10 will be printed. The condition becomes false because 10 is less than 10. The condition becomes false and the loop breaks. The loop stops its execution. So this will be the output. 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 will be the output in all the new lines, because the print statement will be executed in it will print the output at the new lines, but for here it is given as separated by commas. Okay, so the option B will be the answer. So now I will check the doubts if there are any. So Vanilla, why do you think there will be error? Any particular it was regarding this question only, na? Okay, you also think it's B. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, Azharuddin, why you think that this statement will give errors? What we did wrong in this particular thing? Can you explain? If you're not able to unmute, you can type in the chat box also. It will not be error. It will be a proper execution of that particular loop 8 times. Yeah. Okay, great. You have got it. So we can move on to the programming assignment now. Or if you are interested, we can see the execution of the code as well. Yeah, so this is the code. So while so as I was telling you, the numbers will be printed in the new line, because that many number of times the print is getting executed. So every time print gets executed, no, so that's the doubt, Vidyashri. So commas are not automatically generated. That was the one thing which I wanted to clarify. That's why I executed this code. So in this loop, so while is a loop, so by the time condition is true, it will execute, that many times it will execute. So that means it will not print all these numbers at one go. It will print the statements as we are executing, like, this was the first iteration, then the second iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration and fifth iteration. So after fifth iteration, the i's value become 10 and this condition becomes false and it stops execution. That means this particular print statement, it will get executed 5 times. In simple words, these numbers, the value of a, these values here, these all will be printed on the separate lines. So these options are just for understanding. If you have similar questions in your current assignment, don't get confused by the commas. Okay, commas are just to compile, because these options cannot be printed every number on the next line. So that's why they are given for sake of simplicity. They are given by separated using the separated by commas thing. Okay, so don't get confused there. It is for simplicity, for the question answer to save the space of putting different options. It is given like that. Okay, so these options were like that in the assignment. Okay, so you might get the similar questions in your current assignment also. So whenever you find such kind of assignments, don't get confused with the commas or such different options. Okay, so so these programming assignments are generally given just to make you feel well versed with the, at least second week's assignments are not really for testing your programming skills. They are just to make you familiar with the interface. So I remember one of you had put the doubt as the code is getting run in the compiler, but it is not getting run in this Swayam platform. So if such thing is happening, what happens is you need to simplify your code, make it as simple as possible, because what the Swayam platform does is it will match your code with the answers which are submitted by the course instructor or the course TAs. Okay, So just if it is given if it is giving errors, so try to simplify the code, make it as simple as possible. Don't use the please input the age or please input the number kind of statements. You make use of simple input statements, then the error will not come. Even though your code has the perfect logic, it might have few extra things which would not be understandable by the Swayam platform. Okay, so make it as simple as possible. So I will take up the doubts. Yes, there are multiple ways of solving programming assignments. What I'm saying is it matches the output. No, that was my point. It matches
If
the.
we will not run, then how can we match the output? I am not able to provide the input also.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure how to do it, but let us go through the Python code, and then come back to your doubt, Shreyashi. So there are multiple ways of solving a problem. Status shows runtime error. Okay. So I will advise to ask these doubts in the course forum to the TAs who are actually handling the assignment grading and other stuff, na? Because even though I from my side will be trying to clarify your doubts, but certain things are handled by the course TAs. So it is better to ask these questions in the course forum with the appropriate screenshots, where your code is visible, so that the TAs can go through your code and guide you appropriately. There, because with current run of the course, I don't have any involvement, right? So I will not be able to help you out from that point of view. I will be able to help you out at the broader level, but not at the such minute things. If your code is correct, they are not allowing to input on all those things. I may not be able to help you with that. So I will again read through the doubts. So Shreya is asking, if equal to is used outside of the print statement, then it not should be equal to. Okay, so Shreya, there are two ways to use the equal to. So when we are using simple equal to, let us go back to that equal to. Yeah, so when we are using simple equal to, like here, m is equal to n, it does not do condition checking. What it simply does is it assigns value. So what here it is doing, the value of n are getting assigned to this variable m. Yeah, so whatever is on the right hand side of the equal to, that variable's value will get assigned or gets assigned to the variable which is on the left hand side of the equal to. So when we use single equal to, it is for assigning the values. But if we are using it for condition check, like if a particular condition is true, like here number is equal to, we have to check if the number is equal to 0. So at that point what we will do is we will write number equal to 0 in the bracket instead of number equal to 0. I did not quite understand your notion of print statement. So if you can unmute and elaborate, like if equal to is to be used outside the print statement, it should be equal to. I did not quite get it, but I'm trying to address this particular doubt of yours in terms of condition checking. Okay, you got it. So yes, there are multiple ways of solving any programming assignments. There is not fixed code. You can have your own set of code, but the problem with the test cases based checking, what happens is they will if you are asking for more input, then that might create some problem, because the compiler will be checking for this particular input if the output is this. So we have to keep our statements as minimalist as possible. Okay, so Shashank, print input and will this suffice for what? I did not get. You have typed in something, but will this suffice for what? What you're trying to do here as an answer to this, to this particular thing. It could, but it could be okay, yeah. So this assignment thing, yeah, got it. So yeah, it could, but let us try to make it as simple as possible. Huh? So you are trying to use the input statement and the print statement in the at the one go. Yeah, so I'll suggest try running this first, and I have a hunch that this might give compiler error in Swayam platform, because it will be executed in just one statement, right? So it did not give any error, the compiler error. Okay, great, then that's good, because that is little okay. So Azharuddin, this is not the you can go through the lecture videos from the Swayam platform. We meet every Tuesday at 7 p.m. In this same Google Meet link, where we try to solve the previous run's assignment quiz and programming assignments along with you. At the same time, we try to do it. This is not the class, this is kind of tutorial session. So don't worry, if this is your first class, you can go back to the Swayam platform, go through the assignments, go through the lectures, and then go to the assignments, try to solve the assignments. And there are options like assignment quiz, MCQ options on the Swayam platform page, where you can select the options whichever you want and submit. Assignments are graded. If they are not graded, it is mentioned, and generally graded assignments are considered for your final evaluation. Okay, so it is fairly simple. Please go to the Swayam platform, go through the lectures, go through the assignments. So I generally solve the assignments of the previous run, so assignment questions are similar. So this is how you will be benefited there. And as Shreyashi has also shared the WhatsApp group link, you can join and you can discuss among your peers if you have any doubts or something needs to be clarified. Okay, so input a number and output a number. So I will not be joining, Shreyasi, because we are meeting once in a week. You can contact me, because I am not the official TA who is concerned with the grading of this course, na? So it will not be good for me to join. So if you are forgetting to submit the first and second assignments, so generally that breakage of this thing will be given on the Swayam page. It sometimes it differs from course to course, but generally the end exam, the final exam, consists of 60 to 70% of your weightage, and the remaining weightage is given to your assignments. So out of 10, the assignments are considered. So here, since you have many assignments, like this is 12-week course, so every week will have one assignment. So this, for this course, since it's a long duration course, the breakage might be a little different. It will affect their total score for sure, but shouldn't be a problem much of a problem if they do well in their final exam and they attempt and submit rest of the assignments. Yeah. So another way of solving this particular question, like input a number and output a number. Okay, so I noted these two things, that they are asking a number from the user. So what I did is I typecasted the input as integer here, int input. So when I'm asking input, I'm converting it into int and storing it in the variable a, and I'm printing that particular variable a. So it's a simple to understand. Shashank, your way also can be, that was Shashank only, right? Yeah, Shashank. So your way is also correct, using the one statement to accept the input and print the output. But this is the simpler way to do it, where you're accepting the input and you're printing the output. And I have used the typecast feature, where I have, say for example, I am inputting 5. So the print statement is giving output as 5. Yeah. So this is like two things I wanted to emphasize, is using the typecasting with the input, and so this also should be yeah. So let's try it for 100. Okay. So let us execute it again. Okay, it's taking more than expected time. So can we move on to next, because it's fairly simple. We are just asking for input and we are printing that. Okay, so it is somehow taking more time to execute. Yeah, great. Finally, 100, and it should give 100 as output. Okay, great. So it is working for most of the use cases. So shall we move on to the next programming assignment question? Yeah, so this is the second question, where take two integer as input and display the difference of second number from the first number. So we are taking two inputs and their difference. So that means 100 minus 50. So here yeah, so it will be 5 minus 6 minus 1, right? So we are to again I'm emphasizing on the typecasting using this int with the this thing, input function here, like that. So what I'm doing is I'm asking for two inputs. So here I have tried to keep it as simple as possible. So using input, not giving any instruction that please enter number 1, please enter number 2, keeping it as simple as possible. And then I'm defining another variable called answer, which is difference of these two numbers, subtracting second number from the first number, like a minus b, and then printing that answer. So let us try to execute it for number a smaller and number b bigger. So number a smaller, say 7, and number b bigger, say 10. So it should give us output of minus 3. So it is giving us output of minus 3. And since it is simple, the plain input is or the output, the text is nothing more than the numbers which are specified here at the test cases. Like, so generally Swayam compiler, what it does is it will just try to input these numbers, like only these numbers, and the output should only be this. If we try to write the output of the difference of the numbers is no, it should not be b minus a in the code, because when you do a minus b, you are subtracting b from a, not a from b. So b is the second number in the code, right? B is the second number and x is the first number, that is a. So if we are doing b minus a, that means we are subtracting first from the second, but we are supposed to subtract second from the first. So second number is b, so a minus b. Is it clear? Okay. So it's a wordplay created to confuse us, but there's nothing to get confused. Read it carefully. So second from first is the normal way. Like when you do 10 minus 5, we subtract 5 from 10, second number from the first number. Yeah. Sometimes depends on output. Yes, passed after ignoring the presentation error, because when we are creating some loops or something, now it will have presentation error is nothing but every print statement goes on to new this thing. So the character which will come in the output will be /n. So that is nothing but the presentation error, how you are presenting the output. So Ayan, no need to get worked up, I think, because of presentation error. As long as your test cases are getting passed, you're good to go. So here is the for loop we can execute. How? So the for loop example is you have to display all the numbers from 0 till x. Like, so we have to input one number and then the output should be from 0 till x, right? So that means we have to ask for input from the user, convert it into integer. Yeah, so this I have done. A is equal to int input. So I am asking for input from the user and converting into integer, a number. And now in the for loop, because we have to till x, so that till x is the important here, right? So if I is in the range till a, that means the print I value, there should be +1, right? So here I have explicitly changed the range to +1. So that means the I value, it will go on to I plus 1, the A plus 1, the X plus 1. So now let us see what is happening here, what is the output being given for this particular code. So say the range, the range here is say 4. Yeah? Yeah, so 4, so 0 to 4 is the output, every new line. So now let us understand what is happening here. Yeah, so what I did was, for I in range A plus 1, this is what I had written. So that means the I will be executed from 0 to A plus 1. If A is, same example, let's take 4. So that means this loop, for loop, will get executed 5 times. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yeah. And we are adding 1 here. So the I value will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. Sorry, this 5 was extra. Sorry for confusion here. That 5 got extra. So this value 0 was changed or was incremented by +1 by using this +1 here. Yeah. So this was the point which I wanted to mention, that we can explicitly change the initial value as plus, we can change that particular value. Yeah. So first one you want to see, go back to the code or the question 1? I did not understand, Dr. Venkat Ramamurthy, your doubt I did not understand. You were saying repeat the first one. I did not quite get. Okay, so where did it go? So here what I had done was A plus 1 I had done. So wanted to show you this. So this code, now I wanted to show you how we can change the values in the for loop, the initial values, how we can increment that. Yeah, I hope this the same code you mean, or the first assignment, like taking input and printing that same input, or this particular code you mean? So let us first try to execute this code. Oh, there's, okay. So there was a mistake here of repeating the keywords in. Yeah. So that's why we are getting the error. Yeah. So let us input 3. So it is giving output. Same input and same output. Okay, fine. Let us check the same input and same output code. Okay. So what we are doing is, what in the question, what was mentioned. So in the question it was mentioned, take the integer input from the user, integer input, and print the same number. So what I noted was, we want to accept the input as integer and we have to print that integer. These were the 2 points which I kept in mind. So what I did was, I asked for input from the user and converted it into integer value. So this can be done by using keyword int in front of this input statement, right? So I have used this input and converted into an integer, and then print that integer in the next statement, print A. So we are having the same input and displaying the same number as output. Yeah. So I have used the typecast concept here You can display it without typecast also, but I wanted to introduce this typecasting. This concept is called typecasting because by default Python will accept any input as a string, but we wanted it to convert it to a number or an integer. So that integer we are yes. So Ayan, now let us conclude the session since all the doubts have been solved and everything has been done. So now let's conclude the session. As many of you had asked me if I will be sharing the channel link. Yeah, so this is the channel link, and let me go back. I had in the beginning of the session I had shared week 1's recording to the which I have uploaded in the YouTube. Okay? So I'm sharing that link to the YouTube video again. So this is week 1's recording which I have shared in the YouTube. So I will take some time. So I will try to upload today's recording by tomorrow. Yeah, because I have to compress the video and do some processing before I go to YouTube to upload the recording. Yeah, so I will be uploading this recording tomorrow. So you can check out this video. From this video you can go to the channel and maybe you can subscribe, and then you will be in the loop always, when. So I will be for sure uploading the recording, yeah, again, for after every week's session I'll be recording this thing. And on the Swayam platform also, under the heading of problem solving session, there a sheet will be shared with you guys where you will get access to these PDFs also, which I'm using, which I'm annotating while I'm talking. So you will get access to this annotated PDFs also. You can view these PDFs, you can download and use it. So you will get access to these PDFs also through that sheet, and not just my but other TAs also. Like there are 4 such TAs who are conducting such live sessions for this course every week in different time slots. So you will access it from there as well. Okay? Anything else? So we can conclude today's session. So if you want me to make any changes in my way, so since I'm getting compliment on presentation, so that reminds me. So if you want me to make any changes in the way we are conducting the session, you can write to me. This is my email ID. I will try to, so here is my email ID. I will try to accommodate all test cases. No. So Shreya, the meaning of test cases is your lines of code should be able to work for that particular set of input. Yeah, so don't get confused. You don't need to write the code that many times. You can write one general code, and that code should be executed by for those inputs, and it should give, for those particular inputs, it should give the expected output, which is explained here in the table. Yeah, so the test cases table, so this is the test cases table. So test case 1 says for input number 1 should be 100, number 2 should be 50, and the output should be 50. So likewise for these inputs the output should be 3. So the expected input for given input, this is the expected output. Yeah, so this is meaning of test case. You don't need to write the code those many times, huh? So please don't do that. So the whole point of learning how to program is so that we minimize the overhead of doing these things. So yes, of course, Riley, you can speak. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. I'm trying to take user inputs for one integer and one string.
Okay.
It's in the assignment 3 of second week,
Okay.
but I'm not able to get the desired output.
Okay, so the question says you are just supposed to get the input one number and one string.
Not this assignment, the current assignment that is given to us. I'm not able to get the output which is desired. I'm getting a different output.
Okay, so did you check the logic which you are using? Because I'll be needing more details. So maybe I can stop the screen share and you can start the screen share, and if it is handy, yeah. So I will stop the screen share. Wait. Yeah.
I'm not allowed to share my screen.
Let me check. Yeah, you can share now. So A here is the input, integer, and S will be the string.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm just unable to get the output, and the output that I'm supposed to get
Huh?
should be something like that.
Okay. So what is happening here? You are printing I, right? So it will
Yes.
give the I value. So it will give something from 0 to A. So like say for if your A is 5, then it will give value from 0 to 4 maybe. I'm not sure what kind of input it is giving currently. Output, sorry, what kind of output it is giving currently.
If I run this cell, upon running it asks for the first.
Anything
So-
like 2, give 2 or
Okay,
5.
I'll
Yeah,
just
5 is also good. Yeah.
And then it's going to ask for
Code.
string, a
Right.
word.
Huh. Yes, of course. So now you understand what is happening, Ravali, here is you are printing the value of I.
Okay.
Right? So I is nothing but the index or the number of iterations. So
Okay.
so for A value 2, because for I in range of A, that means the A value it will go on till the I equals to A. Here A is 2, so it will give 0 1, then
Yes.
it will increment, no? So you are printing the wrong variable here. You are supposed to print the S. If you
I'm supposed
change
to print
if you
S.
change this I to S, S is the string input. Now you try to execute it.
Oh,
Yeah, you were printing the wrong variable. You were printing I, but you were supposed to print the string value.
So this third line is not required?
No, not at all. No need for it.
Okay, that's what I was trying.
Yeah.
Different combinations of what would fit. I was trying to get it, but thank you anyway.
Yeah. So what your third line would have done? It would have created one single line where your S string would be repeated I number of times in the single line. But in for loop, what is happening is that print statement is getting executed that many number of times, no?
All right.
Yeah.
I
So
got that.
so if you want that word to be printed in the next lines, you should print that string in the for loop.
Okay.
So you got it now. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, so you got many suggestions in the chat box also. So instead of print I, print S, either you should print variable S or remove the loop altogether and print variable I. Yeah. So okay, so
Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay, so shall we conclude today's session? Yeah, so good night everyone. Have a happy learning experience. Thank you so much. Hope to meet you next week also. Next Tuesday we'll meet on the same venue, same link, and the same time. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I'm ending the session now. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Bye, madam.